podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
Meymandi Hall in Raleigh is home to the North Carolina Symphony. It opened in February 2001 and last weekend celebrated its 10th anniversary. The hall was built on a relative shoestring budget, but John Dancy tells us that Meymandi Hall's reputation for its sound quality has soared over the past decade.
You notice the quality of sound in Meymandi Hall even when you arrive. It has been described by music critics as warm, brilliant, and vibrant. When it opened 10 years ago, the New York Times called the concert hall a warm and living sound environment. Meymandi Hall's reputation for its acoustics has only grown in the last decade. Since the hall is still so new, the man who named it, Dr. Asad Meymandi, is still around to enjoy it. He paid $2 million for the right to name the hall after his mother, an Iranian philanthropist who died at the age of 101. Dr. Meymandi brings guests to the hall every Friday and Saturday night that the North Carolina Symphony plays, no matter that he hears the same music twice on a weekend. He says he's a man on a mission.
Classical music is not desirable, it's necessary. It's just like oxygen, like food, and one of my functions is to promulgate that message. My mission is to turn Raleigh, transform Raleigh into a 15th century Florence with arts, fountains, children, conversation, intellectual discourse, music coming out of every window. And I think we are making good progress.
Today's Meymandi Hall is part of a renovation done to Raleigh's Memorial Auditorium back in the 1990s. That renovation added the Fletcher Performing Arts Theater here on the east side of the building to the original structure of the auditorium. Meymandi Hall was added to the original building here on the west side. The architects then enclosed both new wings behind modern concrete, glass, and steel pavilions. That gives unity to the building. But the secret to the North Carolina Symphony's rich sound is in the fact that architect Irv Pierce and his company built the hall primarily for its acoustics.
We pretty well realized that we needed to put all the money in the hall into achieving the acoustics. The shape of the hall, it's actually tapered. It's actually wider at the back than it is at the top. And once you've determined the footprint of the hall, the next thing you want to do is to get around 300 cubic feet of air per person that will be in the hall, and that determines the height of the hall.
All of that dictated a long, narrow shoebox of a building. Box seats are faced with rich cherry wood, which gives the hall its warm sound. The shoebox style is a modern version of the kind of 19th century concert halls that house many European orchestras.
When you're listening to the music, you want the sound to hit you face on about the same time that it's coming off the sidewalls. And the narrower the hall, the better the sound. So just by virtue of how little site the city had here to do it, we ended up being pretty close to what European halls are.
Guest conductor Andrea Quinn has conducted the North Carolina Symphony 3 times. She says she admires the hall's sound.
I love the warmth of this hall. It has enough resonance to be able to round everything and give it a lovely sheen.
4 before you with the pickup, please.
As music director of the North Carolina Symphony since 2004, Grant Llewellyn has conducted the orchestra dozens of times, but perhaps none was so memorable as the first time, when he was still auditioning for the job.
My most vivid memory of my first visit here was the first 5 minutes of the first rehearsal, when I realized that the combination of this orchestra in this space with this repertoire, and the repertoire was Prokofiev's 5th Symphony, which is pretty sumptuous orchestral writing as well, was just a wonderful marriage, and that this space was going to flatter everything that we did. I think that there's a warmth and a brightness and a brilliance, and I haven't yet found a bad seat, and I think that that is one of the remarkable aspects of this hall.
Llewellyn has conducted all over the world. He knows the concert halls of London well.
London has nothing to compare with Meymandi Hall, which is shocking. It's wonderful for us. It's not too good if you're a London orchestral musician.
At a cost of $12 million, Meymandi Hall was a bargain. Most new symphony halls cost more than $100 million. What has this hall done in general for the Triangle?
My acoustician, I think, said it best. He said, Irv, you will not hear a better sound anywhere else in the world. So he said we're world class. And I think being a world class performance hall in Raleigh makes Raleigh world class.
Dr. Asad Meymandi's dream of Raleigh as a new 15th century Florence may take a few years more, but he believes with Meymandi Hall, it's on its way.
Music director Grant Llewellyn says the acoustics at Meymandi Hall are so good they help the orchestra recruit top-notch soloists like pianist Lang Lang and violinist Joshua Bell to appear with the North Carolina Symphony.
Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.